In this video we're going to look at 5 versions of Jabba the Hutt. There are 2 versions that I do not have because they look really stupid. And that is, they both came out from the Phantom Menace. One of them is at the pod race when he spits the frog out at the gong. That they came out with a toy that has a spring-loaded frog in his mouth. You push the button and he spits it. Well, with the frog in his mouth he looks stupid, and with it out he's got a big hole in his mouth. I do not want that figure, so I didn't buy it. Then they have a thing called the glob, Jabba glob, where you put slime in him and it oozes out of his mouth and stuff. I wanted to get it because it actually looks like a good resemblance of Jabba, but I couldn't find one for a decent price in time, so I said, forget it. We'll just look at these 5. I did one of my first videos was Jabba's palace with his throne here and Jabba, and I wanted to look at him, just do a recap of what we talked about before and tell you the reasons why I like this version. Well, first of all, it looks pretty good like he did in the movie. For 1983, this is a very nice likeness, an incredible amount of detail all over his body. He really does look like a disgusting slug. It's just really great. They even put the tattoo on his wrist. An overall really excellent figure. And he comes with this awesome throne where you can keep prisoners inside of it. It comes with a leash to hook to your enemies and keep them as slaves. And it also comes with his hookah, his bong, which is going to be, it comes with most of the versions of Jabba. They always give him his bong. He's got to have it. And overall, it gives a really great appearance, looks really good on your shelf. Then we came out in 1995 with this special deleted scene. And I'm sure you've seen it. It's where originally they shot back in the 1970s when they're making the first Star Wars. Jabba the Hutt comes to the Millennium Falcon after Han shoots Greedo. And he's trying to talk to Han to get him to pay him his money. Well, they shot the scene with a human being. Later, when computer-generated graphics came out, to the bane of all Star Wars fans, George Lucas decided to go back and add some deleted scenes and change things. And it seems like a good idea, but it didn't come out very good. What happened is you have this very obviously computer-generated version of Jabba that looks nothing like he did in Return of the Jedi. They would have been better off doing a green screen puppet and putting that in there. But the graphics were just not, in 1994 and 1995, they were not up to par to make something look photorealistic. And so it's a really bad scene. I don't like it. I think it's really dumb. Well, luckily, after Phantom Menace came out in 1999-2000, some of the later versions of Star Wars, they went back and fixed that scene by using a more detailed version of Jabba. It looks a lot more like Jabba, but you can still tell it's fake. Anyway, they came out with a toy just for that one scene, and they based the toy on the stupid-looking version. It looks nothing like Jabba the Hutt. Nothing. Except for the general silhouette. Why does he have human flesh-colored skin? Why is he dark green in the back? Why are his hands why do they look like that? Why are they all sticking out like that? Why does he have this dopey, sad expression on his face? He looks like Marlon Brando. Anyway, the worst part is that all the versions of Jabba, he's laying on his side, facing over his right shoulder. And that's the way he sits. It's sort of the Alice in Wonderland caterpillar, classic-looking, omnipotent sultan who sits there on his throne with his pillows and lives a hedonistic lifestyle. Well, this version has him in walking mode because in the movie he was facing forward. This is how Jabba moves, like a snail. The problem is you can't turn him no matter how hard you try to make him face the right way. So even if you could use him on a throne, it doesn't work. So it's a really stupid action figure. Piece of junk, not worth 50 cents. The only thing I do like is on the original version of Jabba, when you twist his head, his tail moves. And they extended that to this version of Jabba. His tail does move. The problem is they made it really obvious that there are two hinges in here. I mean, look at that. Does that give you the impression of the tail of a giant slug? No, it looks like plastic with hinges and very deep cuts. It's totally ridiculous. This version of Jabba, you can see the place where the hinge is, but it sort of gives you the impression that it's a fold of fat or something, and at least it's continuous. This is just strange looking. The worst figure of Jabba you can buy is this. I suggest you take it and throw it in the garbage. Now we have a much better version. This one came out in the early 2000s. And he was actually a deluxe figure on a card, believe it or not. This whole thing came on a card that they hung on pegs. And he comes with a hookah in the stand. And he's got a lot of really good detail. The arms move just pretty much the same as the other. There's not a lot of mobility. The tail does not move. That's a downside to it. But they did a considerable amount of detail on him. His head does move. He looks a lot more like the Jabba in the movie. I guess maybe it's the lighting or maybe it's my television, but I don't think that Jabba was really that green. There was not that much of a contrast between the green on his tail and the white of his belly. They give him, it's much more subtle, especially in the newer version. That's much better. This, it stands out a little too much. But the detail is great. Of course, he looks just like he did in the movie. He has a removable tongue. And they even put nasty, foamy saliva. So, it's a good version of Jabba. Unfortunately, it's outdated. They have come out with better ones since, and I suggest you do not use your money on this one. Clone Wars. A couple years ago, I think 2008, 2009, the Clone Wars movie. It was 2008. Came out. He comes with the same hookah as this one, so we won't talk about that. But they're the same, and that's also the same one that comes on here. But this version is based on the cartoon version of Jabba. And as you can see, they're similar in size to the other one here. The tail doesn't move, although the detail on him is really good. I like how he's sort of, it almost looks like he is animated, and there's just like someone took a paintbrush and wiped it all over him. You can turn him to his side, although it cuts into the color scheme, but still it looks okay. So he can be on his throne, or he can be in walk mode. It's a really good figure. The detail looks like he did in the cartoon. Here's the best part though. If you move his arms, now they're ball jointed elbows, swivel wrists, I mean a lot of articulation in the arms. But if you move them, his mouth moves. Now, there are a lot of reviews of this guy on YouTube, so I won't go into a lot of detail. But there are, I'm sure everybody, the first thing you did was do your Jabba impression and try to make him laugh. Oh, 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 oh. But that's just really cool. I wonder why they didn't come up with that idea for any of the other versions. One downside I have here is that his arms pop out easily because of the mechanism. There's a square inside that you're twisting, and the square here pops off easily, but I don't know, just try not to lose them. Anyway, it's a really good version. I really like that they made him out of rubber so that there's no crease. We were talking about the crease on the tails of the other two Jabbas. This one, because he's made of rubber, when the mechanism moves, it looks like his skin is moving. So, and finally, the newest version of Jabba, which is pretty much the best $40 you could spend in the store today. The detail is spot on movie accurate. It looks just like Jabba did in the movie. Even one eye is half closed compared to the other. The slant of his nose, each little crease and detail, the foamy spit. It's a really awesome rendition. They even put the tattoo on his arm. Now you can see I like the color scheme, how it goes from sort of a yellowish mustardy color to the green, but it does so very subtly. And you come around the tail, and he has little warts and barnacles and stuff on him. He has a scar in his tail. The detail, they did a great job. He has a posable tail, although mine does not pose as well as advertised. What it is he's made out of rubber, and then there's like a plastic set of joints in here that you can move. And I can't really lock his tail in any other position, but it may just be my version of the toy. Overall, it's really, I mean, he doesn't have any action features. He doesn't laugh, he doesn't talk, he doesn't, his tail doesn't swivel. But as far as displays go, which is pretty much all Jabba is good for anyway, he looks great. The best one you can buy. And so, if I had to give my 2 cents, which ones should you spend your money on? The original, of course, has a certain nostalgic value for me, and it's classic. So collectors, go for the original. Everybody should have the new one. This is mandatory for all displays and your collection. And for play value, the Clone Wars one is the best. Let's take just 1 second, look at his dais, his throne. It's on wheels, so it rolls. It doesn't have the trap doors that the old one had. It has, you could use any of your hookahs to just set on here, and it comes with pillows. Because, you know, it was a detail I never noticed in the movie, but there actually are pillows for Salacious Crumb and other people to sit on his throne with him on. And it's just really cool. I like the cracks here, which I heard somebody say was for the slime to run down. Very interesting. He's even got, it doesn't come with the little slave collar that the original one did, but it has the hook, so you just get a piece of string and hook people up. And that is Jabba the Hutt. I hope these videos were useful for you. Thank you very much.